Good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Hernandez talking on behalf of the 8th grade Social Studies Department. First of all, students, we want to make sure that everybody is staying safe and that everybody is healthy, so please follow precautions, stay at home. If you need anything from us, please go ahead and contact us via Google Classroom or our email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, so just to kind of pick up where we left off, we did have a couple of things that we want to mention to you all before we get started. We are going to continue teaching you all the lesson that we still need to teach you, which is basically covering the Civil War and Reconstruction, just to kind of refresh your memory a little bit to see where we have been. Think back to what we discussed in the last unit, which basically dealt with the reform movements and the changes in America and how the country itself was actually separating due to the fact that we had many differences, and these differences are things that are separating us, whether those differences dealt with it could be the economy, it could be your religion. Remember the quote we learned at the beginning of the year: where you live affects how you live. So all of these things were factors that were going into dividing the country and basically making us more of a country that really wanted to do what was best for us depending on where we were in that country at the time. So one of the things that we're going to start talking about to kind of refresh your memory a little bit is going back to sectionalism. Now, if you remember, the root word in sectionalism is sections. The country itself is being divided into different sections for different purposes, like we said earlier: religion, economy, slavery and non-slavery, depending on what your preferences were at the time, depending on where you went in the country and you did that for a living, or whatever the case may be, whatever you believed in. So when we talk about sectionalism, remember, sectionalism is loyalty to your own region rather than to the good of the whole nation. Recent changes in America had created major division. North, South, and West had each developed an extremely different economy and way of life from each other. The North, the economy was based on industry, factories, views on tariffs. They loved tariffs because they protected businesses from foreign competition. And if you remember when I explained that, that basically means that anytime a product from another country gets to be more expensive because of a tariff, then people from our country are forced to buy from our country. And in doing so, you're allowing for our economy to grow. Remember, this was known also as a protective tariff because you are protecting your own economy at home. Their views on slavery: most northern states had already abolished slavery on their own, and they had no intentions of going back on that. They had no, I guess you could say, desire to participate in the evils of slavery at the time. The South, their economy was based on cotton production. Remember, cotton is king. Their views on tariffs: they hated them because tariffs made foreign imports more expensive. And if you remember correctly, during this time period, there was a big issue when these tariffs were implemented because the South provided cotton to many parts of the world at the time. And in doing so, now it made it more difficult for them to buy manufactured goods from other parts of the country to keep their costs down. Their views on slavery: well, they 100% completely depended on it. In the West, the economy was based on ranching, mining, farming. Their views on tariffs was undecided at the time. Some supported tariffs because they raised money for the government to build new roads and railroads, and others didn't. It all depended on where you came from. If you were coming from the North or if you were coming from the South at the time to move west. Remember, there were different places that people were moving to the West End for different reasons. We did have the Mormons moving to Utah, Promontory Point, Utah, where they basically escaped religious persecution. They settled in Salt Lake City. You had people going to Oregon with the promise of free land. You had the gold rush in California. Getting people out there and building the Transcontinental Railroad also provided jobs and opportunities for people. Their views on slavery were mixed, depending on whether the settlers again moved from to the west, from the north or the south, depending on what they felt regarding slavery. And you can kind of see an illustration here of what it was like, what was the difference between the different regions. And those are the three main regions we're going to focus on when we start talking about sectionalism. What you all want to do is, in the next coming weeks, while we're getting adjusted to basically learning how to do everything online, make sure you watch the videos. You can watch them as many times as you need to. I'll try my best to explain what we're covering at the time so that you can fully understand it. Any questions that you may have, please make sure that you let me know, let Ms. Backus know, let Mr. Rosales know. Make sure that you let your teachers know on Google Classroom so that we can help you. Okay? For today, what you all should be seeing in your Google Classroom is a link to America, the Story of Us, you're going to watch a video that helps explain what is going on in the country at this time. It's going to do a little bit of recap on what we've already discussed and help us lead into this next unit of the causes of the Civil War. Make sure that you all also answer the questions that are going to be provided for you, and we want you to have all of these done by Wednesday. Remember, as you're going through this, as you're watching the video, keep the questions out, answer them. Make sure you submit by Wednesday. The new lesson and the continuation of the new unit will start on Thursday. Okay? Any questions, let us know. Thank you.